Welcome to Midwest Small Town, the podcast that takes you on a journey through the heart of America and shines a light on the charming and often overlooked towns across the country, revealing where to go, stay, and play. Whether you're a traveler seeking adventure or a local looking for something new right in your own backyard, we've got you covered. So let's explore the soul of Small Town, USA. Welcome back to Midwest Small Town. My name is Dan Klein. I'll be your host for this new episode on our podcast. Now, typically we have Tammy with us as our second co-host, and she is not here tonight, but we will be talking about something a little different going into some of the quirkiest small towns across the Midwest. And just to keep it kind of short tonight, because we can kind of go on, and I'm going to have a couple other episodes where we're going to go into some other quirky towns across the country as well. We're going to do 5. So 5 of the quirkiest small towns in the Midwest. Now, I know some people, they might hear the word quirky and think, oh, is he being negative? I'm not being negative. And some people, I'm telling you right now, when they go and they travel, they're seeking out the weird. They're seeking out the quirkiness. If you can be different, if you can stand out in a sense of tourism, people will come and find you. It's kind of the old saying, like the Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. And you're going to hear me say a lot of times in a lot of marketing and with small towns and so forth, that I don't really buy into that whole thing as far as if you build it, they will come. I think if you build it, that's a start. But I think you have to market yourself. You have to put yourself out there a little bit. And a lot of these towns have. So it's not just that, hey, they came up with an idea, this is quirky, but they're marketing it. And so let's get right into it. Number 5, Regent, North Dakota. Now, Regent, North Dakota has a population of 159. And the reason why I picked this to be the 5th quirkiest small town in the Midwest is something that is known as the Enchanted Highway. So if you're up in North Dakota and you are along I-94, close to exit 72 near Gladstone, North Dakota, there is a 32-mile section known as the Enchanted Highway. And what you're going to find along there is the world's largest scrap metal sculptures. And you're going to find yourself running into about 8 of these sculptures as you go along that 32-mile track as you make your way to Regent, North Dakota. Now, it starts with a sculpture called Geese in Flight, which is right off I-94. And then it goes to the world's largest tin family, Teddy Rides Again, Pheasants on the Prairie, Grasshoppers in the Field, Deer Crossing, Fisherman's Dream, and of course, the last one, as you come into the town of Regent, you will come to the Enchanted Castle, which is a hotel, but next to it is another scrap metal sculpture called the Dragon Sculpture. What's pretty cool on this is that there is a gravel parking lot at each sculpture location. You can take photo ops, and of course, it's fun for the whole family. Quirky, nothing much in Regent, North Dakota, but I tell you what, for a town of 159, it is brilliant. The mastermind and sculptor of this was Gary Greft, and Gary put a lot of time and work on this. And when you think about this, you think about the whole marketing of a town of 159 bringing something like this to Regent, North Dakota. If you find yourself on 94 heading either west or east, if you're heading to Medora, for example, or the Badlands in North Dakota, or if you're heading to Fargo on the other side, you will find yourself halfway in between there, maybe not even quite half, but you're going to find yourself closer to Regent. Give it a go. Again, that is on exit 72 off of I-94 in North Dakota. All right, going in reverse order, number 4, Waldrug, South Dakota. Now, Waldrug, South Dakota, for many people, they kind of know this because along the route of I-90 going east and west, you will see thousands of Waldrug signs. Probably one of the biggest marketing plans or marketing operations in the world is all about Waldrug. And you can see right there that it's more than just that they built it, that they worked it. And so Waldrug's a unique story in its own. It is the gateway of the Badlands in South Dakota. You can stop before heading into that park, and of course, the Black Hills are nearby as well. Wall Drug, South Dakota. Stop, get some free water. So if you've heard of that before, that's kind of the big marketing thing. I kind of laugh because you go there and then, well, there's the free water. It's basically just like this water fountain where you can just get a quick drink. There's some other things. There's shopping as well. And so if you head down, they have like a little boardwalk and sidewalk area, and you can go from shop to shop. Now, one person will say that is a great, fun place to stop. The next person would say, well, that's a tourist trap. I say it's brilliant marketing. So there you go. Wall Drug, South Dakota, population of 711 people, one of the quirkiest small towns in the Midwest, but it's a fun place. I think it's fun. Some personal stories I know that we've had is that we like to go and they have a big giant jackalope. Do you know what a jackalope is? A funny little story that my family always thought, can we find the jackalope? And of course we find it. They also have a T-Rex. So if you stop in there, you can see the automated T-Rex. And of course you have plenty of photo opportunities in Wall Drug. Here's my next question for some of my listeners. Are you a Trekkie? Are you someone who grew up watching Star Trek? And I'm going to get into this next one of why I'm talking about this, because number 3 is the small town, population of 1,000 approximately, of Riverside, Iowa. And Riverside, Iowa is the future birthplace of Captain Kirk. So, calling all Trekkies, this is the small town for you. And what's really cool about Riverside, Iowa, it is roughly about 20 minutes south of Iowa City, so that kind of tells you where it is on the map in Iowa. There is a Star Trek Voyage home museum, so you can go there. You can even see the marker of the future birthplace of Captain Kirk. Get your photo ops. Does anyone know when Captain Kirk's future birthday is? If not, this is your quiz. March 22nd, 2228. So if you got that right, give yourself kudos on that. Hey, by the way, I'd love to hear from many of you. We always say this is an ongoing conversation with our podcast. So you could email us at midwestsmalltown@gmail.com. Any questions that you have, any suggestions that you have as far as, hey, we would love to have you come check out our town. We would love to come. Let us know. Drop us a comment. You can also do that at our website, midwestsmalltown.com. And of course, you can follow this podcast as well with Spotify, Apple, or wherever else you are listening to your podcast. Subscribe. Love to have you with us. But let's move on. If you are a Trekkie, like we said, Riverside, Iowa is the place for you. Captain Kirk's future birthplace. Now, on that note, mark this down because I thought this was a really cool thing. Trek Fest. If you'd like to go to a festival that celebrates this whole thing with Star Trek and Captain Kirk, that is the last weekend in June. You can learn more about this at their site, trekfest.org. I kind of moseyed around a little bit to see the different things they have. They have different competitions and things like that, and everything is featured around and celebrating Star Trek. So if you're a Trekkie listening to this, that is the small town for you. Okay, moving right along. If you take a 6-hour trip southwards towards Illinois and you cross the river, you're going to come to a town along the Ohio River of Metropolis, Illinois. And if that name Metropolis really starts to jog your memory a little bit, especially for some of you DC comic fans out there, it is the Superman capital of the world. That's right, Superman. So if you are into the Man of Steel, faster than a bullet, faster than a moving train, Metropolis, Illinois has a whole theme for you. And Metropolis has a population of about 5,700 to 5,900 approximately. Small town USA, right in the Midwest, and you can celebrate Superman. what is cool about this town? They have a 15-foot tall, 4,000-pound giant statue of Superman right in the town. It's right outside the museum that they have. They have a Superman museum. In this museum, if you go in, you can see different Superman costumes, Superman toys. They have different artifacts from different movies and everything that's kind of centered around Superman. This is Superman Awesomeville. So put it on your calendar. It is quirky, but it is super cool. And especially if you like comics and you like the whole thing with Superman, this is kind of a town for you. Bring the kids. This is kind of a neat place to go. Down the street from the big giant statue, on the corner of Market and 8th Street, they have another statue celebrating Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane. So the Lois Lane statue is there as well. You can see that, and it's, of course, right outside some other things that are popular centered around Superman. Now, you can plan around this whole thing where you can go check out everything to do with Metropolis. Go check out their website, metropolistourism.com, and I want you to go ahead and see and read more about the Superman celebration. That would be a really cool time to visit this small town. And this last year, it was June 9th through the 11th that weekend. So what is that, the second weekend in June? So go ahead, map out, look on your calendar and see when that's coming up. But that would be a super fun festival to go and check out. So for 45 years, the Metropolis Chamber of Commerce, or the city of Metropolis for that matter, they have been really hosting what they call the Metropolis Superman Celebration. So for almost 50 years, this has been going on. And of course, this started as a one-day event and has grown to a weekend event. Pretty cool thing. So if you want to check out that, you can go to that website, or if you want to go check out the celebration itself, supermancelebration.net. And this leads me to number one. Again, these are not ranked in order of what's bigger or better, but I just wanted to highlight one more Midwest town that I think is a quirky little town that you should put on your bucket list. And this one is probably one of my favorites, and especially with the season around the corner that we're coming up to of Christmas. If Christmas is your thing, this is the small town for you. And of course, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the big man himself in red, a town of 2,500, Santa Claus, Indiana. And you can't help but miss this one. Quirky as it may sound, history has shown that when they really wanted to name it Santa Fe, but when Santa Fe was taken and they couldn't name it after that, Santa Fe, Indiana, they went with it and said, fine, kind of almost as a joke, we'll become Santa Claus. And they kind of went with it. And so Santa Claus it has been. And Santa Claus, you can't go to a small town in the Midwest that's more Christmassy than Santa Claus. Not just in name only, but in celebration. That town is Christmas 24/7, 365 days a year. They live it, they love it, and it's an awesome town to visit. It's also part of the Midwest Travel Network, so it's pretty awesome that they're part of that. I'm hoping that they hear this podcast. I would love to come and visit and give an extensive look at Santa Claus, Indiana. But here's what I do know. Santa Claus, Indiana has, of course, a Christmas celebration, and this is the time of year to go. You should go check out Santa Claus, Indiana. They have Santa's Candy Castle. They have Santa Claus Christmas Celebration, which is a 3-weekend ordeal. How awesome is that? And you know what it reminds me of? There is this quote from the C.S. Lewis book, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And you remember that saying they said that it's always winter, but Christmas never comes? Well, it's the exact opposite in Santa Claus, Indiana, where it's Christmas every day there. They have a reindeer experience. They have Santa's toys. They have a drive-through of the Santa Claus Land of Lights. And of course, they have the Santa Claus Christmas Parade. Now, you can find all of this information. I want to make sure that this stays on my podcast and doesn't change as a timely event. Check this out every year to make sure that you are not missing any of the festivities that are happening in Santa Claus, Indiana. You can find this at their website, SantaClausInd.org. Santa Claus, IND for Indiana, of course, .org. And of course, that is number 5 or number 1, no specific order, of our small towns that are quirky. And I tell you what, it is awesome. If you have a quirky town in mind, I'd love to hear from you. Shoot me out an email, let me know. I'll check it out. Love to have it in some future quirky small towns across America. These were Midwest focused. We have, of course, another 5 coming up here in a future episode. But tonight, we're just talking about these 5 quirky small towns in the Midwest. Going in reverse, we had Santa Claus, Indiana, Metropolis, Illinois, Riverside, Iowa, Waldrop, South Dakota, and Region, North Dakota. You're listening to Midwest Small Town. Go small and come home.